doing mine. Just this historic district got my feathers ruffled. This historic district's got my feathers ruffled. Well.
Good evening, everyone.
Don't ask me. I'm not happy about it. Hey, Sheila.
Hey, how are y'all?
I don't know.
I didn't. Short meeting. Yeah, he's been there
That's
for a
what
while.
Charles said.
Yeah.
Good evening. We proceed each council meeting with a word of prayer and the Pledge of Allegiance. If you would like to, please feel free to join us. Miss Isby, could I get you a word of prayer?
Oh, I can do it. I can do it.
She
said she want to push through it. I got it.
Okay.
Thank you, Lord, for your goodness, your grace, your mercy, Lord, your awesome power. We thank you for the city, Lord, and we pray for our decisions tonight.
Amen. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Ms. Smith, I brought you a present.
I saw it. It's going to replace my old one.
Now call this meeting to order. Mr. Garrett, would you take the roll?
Mr. Hawkins?
Here.
Mr. Grimes?
Here.
Ms. Tucker? Here. Ms. Mel?
Here.
Ms. Smith?
Here.
Mr. Jones?
Here.
Ms. Isby?
All right, Mr. Ledbetter's away on business. You should have received copies of the September 27th, 2022 City Council meeting. Any corrections, changes, or comments?
Make a motion to approve
Second.
as submitted.
I have a motion and a second that we approve the minutes as submitted. If there's no further discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Passes 7-0. Before we start tonight, if you all will remember, back before COVID hit, we started recognizing our big businesses and our smaller businesses in Conway as a way to thank them for everything they do. And we've got two special groups here tonight. And I know both of these groups personally, and both of them have asked me why they're here tonight. And it may be one of the best kept secrets we've ever been able to pull off. But anyway, I'm going to start with Tim Esther and his family. Come on up, Tim. Gina.
Let them stand there. But,
Yeah, man.
let them stand there. Why don't you meet him?
We didn't hear you.
Probably not. You probably on that flight to London. No,
It's on.
You don't have to
It's
speak.
on.
wife is
Wing it.
Wing it.
Okay, so that's fine.
That means it comes from the heart.
A nephew.
Well, Tim and I met the first time that I can remember was my wife and I were moving. And most people who know me know that I'm an insulin-dependent diabetic, and we'd been moving all day, and I had a really bad low blood sugar incident. And I whipped into Stobie's, and Tim didn't know me from Adam. I said, "You're going to have to believe me, man, I'm a diabetic. And you have a Coke or something I can drink?" No, Tim, he shoved it right out there, and blood sugar came up. We've been friends ever since. But Tim runs Uncle Tim's food truck. If you haven't been out there and had a chance, you need to go out there and visit him. You got some of the best food you'll eat. Sandwiches, catfish is unreal. But he and Gina and his family have been friends of mine for a long time. I've been trying to get Kiara to come back to work for me, but she's too busy taking care of grandkids. But Tim, you take me. But all of you, thank you so much for what you've done for Conway. Uncle Tim's is a tremendous asset to our city, and I apologize for not having the notes that Shawana gave me because there was a whole bunch of them. No, that's the wrong one, Shawana. Anyway, I lost them. It's on me. But anyway, we want to present you with this, Tim and Gina. It says the city of Conway would like to thank you for your continuous contributions to the success of our community. We appreciate you providing employment opportunities and supporting local businesses. Thank you for choosing Conway.
Tim's a Cowboy fan too. I told him you should have brought him a hat.
We're cowboy. I'm a cowboy. 49ers.
And the next one is the Lewis family, Bill and Becky Lewis. Now, Bill and I go way back, and Becky and I went to school together, she and my wife and Becky. And Bill and I have known each other since we were a lot younger. Back then, we were both teenagers. But Bill and Becky have invested about $10 million of their own money in infrastructure out at Lewis Ranch. And that, in turn, is going to develop between $100 and $125 million worth of business out there. And something that you may not know about Bill is he and Audie, who I see out there, they will call up and say, hey, we've got some opportunities for some business out here. And this is the honest truth. Bill and Audie will both say, we could put this one in, it would make a lot more money for the Lewis family. Or we could do this, and it would be much better for the city of Conway. 100% of the time, they have said, we're going to do what's best for the city of Conway. So I appreciate that. And then when they were opening walk-ons, all of us, or me, I'll say me, we were all up there with our little hats on, with our turning our shovels, like we'd really done something. And Bill and Becky were standing off in there in the back. And I said, you guys come on up here, because Lewis Ranch and everything that's going on out there would not have been possible without the Lewis family, Bill and Becky. So you guys come on up here. It says, the Lewis family, Bill and Becky Lewis, the city of Conway would like to thank you for your continuous contributions to the success of our community. We appreciate you providing employment opportunities and supporting local businesses. And Audie will probably shoot me for saying this, but I'm just going to use 2 restaurants out there. I'm not going to call their name, but just 2 of their restaurants, and there's a number of them out there. Last year, between them, did $11 million worth of business. And then you throw in Sam's Wholesale and Academy Sports. You guys have been good for us. So thank you.
No, he on the right side. Like a fan. It's okay. Mark. Oh, I'm sorry.
Alicia, I don't know how you and Shawana pulled that off to keep that quiet, but you did a great job. Next up, or first up, we have community development. Mr. Hawkins, we'll turn this over to you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. First item on this portion of the agenda is an ordinance to approve the use of public right-of-way and a franchise agreement for telecommunication services by Unite Private. And we have an ordinance to read for this situation. It's ordinance 022-115.
15.
Make a motion to waive the 3 readings.
Second.
I have a motion, a second, to waive the 3 readings. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Is that everybody you're doing it tonight, Sheila? That passes 7-0. I said, Sheila, is that the way she's doing it tonight? She gave me a thumbs up, and I said, any opposed? She didn't do that.
She's throwing a flag. Never mind.
Let's see. Is there anyone here to offer an explanation of this? Yes, sir, step on up.
I'm just here to represent UPN and their interests. If anybody's got any questions.
Would you please state your name and address for the record, sir?
George Rutledge. I live in Maumelle, Arkansas.
Okay. Would you give us the council, well, the council knows what's going on, but just so the folks at home would kind of know what's going on, would you kind of just give us a brief rundown? on
Yes,
this,
sir. We provide high-speed internet and voice to businesses, and there are businesses outside of Conway that like to connect to the businesses inside Conway and vice versa. So we're going to be providing the telecom link for all that stuff.
Will you interface with Conway Corp or at all?
If we need to, yes, ma'am. I'd love to partner with Conway Corp. But at the end of the day, we will have our own flag out.
Any other questions? Council, back to you.
And if I could, Mr.
Yes,
Mayor.
sir.
If you'll notice, I've attached a map diagram. So this is a limited franchise for the purpose of running wire from one point to the other to the Blue Cross Blue Shield data center. And I've been talking to Unite. They may be coming back and asking for additional or franchises or amendments to the franchise agreement if they need more. But so this is very limited, just in that map, that from point A to point B, basically.
Isn't everything out there underground? Aren't all the utilities underground?
Predominantly, yes, sir.
And you're going to hang wire?
Well, we're going to bore.
Okay, okay. So you're going to be.
Once we cross the railroad tracks at Sturgis and 365, it drops down and it'll be underground.
Okay.
Make a motion to adopt the ordinance.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to adopt this ordinance. Any further discussion? Mr. Garrett?
Ms. Tucker?
Yes.
Mr. Hawkins?
Yes.
Ms. Isby?
Yes.
Ms. Mel?
Aye.
Mr. Grimes?
Aye.
Ms. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Jones?
Yes.
What, and that passes 7-0. What number was that, Mr.?
115.
115.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Mr. Hawkins?
Next item, Mr. Mayor, is a resolution approving
Thank
the
you.
Conway Regional
sir.
Airport 5-year capital improvement plan and professional engineering and support services for the Runway 4-22 rehabilitation project. And Jake, good evening.
Hey, how are you?
What can you tell us?
Yeah, this is our CIP plan that we have to give up for the FAA. It's a 5-year improvement plan, what we're going to do with our federal funds / Arkansas Aeronautical Division funds as well. This is just to rehab the joints. It was built in 2014, a lot of planes coming and going. We're starting to get some pretty big cracks inside the joints of the slabs and everything. This is to rehab those for to fix the joints and then redo the markings on the runway. So the 4 and 2-2, the landings and the patterns, stuff like that. We're initially going to be out $58,400, which we'll be able to cover with our airport funds, and then we'll get that back after we do a grant from the Arkansas Aeronautical Division. So we won't be out anything. We'll just have to float it up front at first. So
Correct.
it's great. Yeah.
Make a motion for adoption of the resolution.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve this resolution. Any further discussion?
What's the number, Mr. Garrett?
R2247.
47.
Mr. Garrett?
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Passes 7-0. Thank you, Jacob.
Appreciate it.
Thanks,
You're
Jake.
doing a good job out there.
Next item, Mr. Mayor, is an ordinance to approve amending the Conway Historic District Commission standards. And,
Mr. Walden?
yeah.
Yes, this is fairly cut and dry. What this ordinance does, so staff in consultation with the mayor's office, we have issued an RFQ for an HDC architect. So intended to be sort of someone that we retain on a sort of a professional basis, on a contract basis, to serve in a role where that individual would provide consultation on applications if they get somewhat hairy or if they're somewhat, I would say, difficult or contentious, to help resolve those sorts of cases. As a result of that, there's some proposed changes to the ordinance that would essentially eliminate not eliminating the position of you're seeking an HDC architect, so there would still be an individual on the board that we would want to seek as an HDC architect. It would just simply remove what's the best way to put it? Remove the non-term limits. So it would apply term limits to that position, whereas term limits don't currently apply to that position. So I guess it would be enacting term limits. I guess that's the best way to put it.
And I have a question. Why are we seeking and having to pay for architectural consultation and all when we do have an architect on the historic board right now that's free of charge, offers his expert opinion if asked, whatever? Why are we getting rid of Steve Hurd and having to pay to bring someone in on consultation when he's
Right.
available and not
Thank you for asking that,
and
Ms. Smith.
has been on the historic commission since it started and has given numerous hours, thousands of hours of his time without charging the city every dime.
Yes.
And I just feel like he just kind of found out about this, and I just don't understand why we're doing this. And I don't mind having term limits. Hey, leave him in office for 3 more years or whatever you want to do on terms, and then bump him off. But I don't see any other architects beating down our door wanting to volunteer their time on this board for free.
Somebody apparently is, because sounds like you've got somebody lined up.
For
No.
the RFQ?
No, that
it's
would be
not.
incorrect.
The RFQ hasn't been, it hasn't, it is not, I think the due date is the 20th of.
Well,
of this
so what's
month.
the reasoning behind it then? Why are we doing this then?
In terms of that, I think it's to help limit some of the contentiousness that exists.
So he's been on there for how many years now?
Since 2009.
And we're just now having some contention just recently that's caused this to come up?
I'd like to table this and get some more information, because I don't have any information on this at this point in time.
I mean, I don't know. I don't think this passes smell test. And I've talked to you, James, about it. And I don't think it's right what's going down on it. I just don't think it's right. And like I said, you can keep the people in office going and stagger their terms and let them start doing a term. But I don't think you just push someone out just because somebody's upset about something, or a few people are, and decide to bring someone else in, and having to pay for it, especially. I mean, and Steve lives in the historic district. He has a vested interest in that area. He's not a voting person unless there's a tie or whatever, from my understanding. He provides counsel and that, and I just don't know. That's just my opinion on it. I don't know how anybody else
I'll
feels.
share some of the heat on this. Matter of fact, I'll share it all. Our boards and commissions, we are basically working to get everything back in line as written by ordinance. Started with the airport committee. No, started with the civil service committee. Started with the airport committee, and we're just kind of going down the line. And it will come back to this council the exact way that every board works in this city, because after y'all had the Blue Ribbon Committee put together some things, there were some rules enacted there that, quite frankly, they haven't been followed for some time. So when I saw that Steve had been on there since 2009, then I told James that we probably need to look at a different way of doing this.
But you're willing to pay somebody thousands of dollars?
We're not talking about
to-
thousands of dollars. We don't have a number yet. Yeah, I'm willing to pay it if it gets us some difference on the board, Mary. 2009 is a long time.
Well, do you think it's right, though, to just bump them off right now? Really didn't have much of a notice that we're doing this. Your position's going to be gone and we're bringing someone on. I mean, I don't think that's right at all.
Well, maybe I could have been a little bit more preemptive about it. I guess I could have done
Or
that.
just say, we're going to start staggering terms, and as of here, your term is going to expire in 2025 or whatever, but you'll be on it for the next 2 or 3 years, and then, you'll roll off and we'll see who else wants to be on it. But I don't think just willy-nilly
Yeah.
just say you're gone.
Well, there's a lot of things we as a city have to look at, and all, like I said, all of our boards, our planning commission, our historic commission, we've got to make the process smoother and easier.
And I agree with that,
Okay.
100%.
And that's kind of what I was looking at with James on that. So it's not James, that was me. Okay, so y'all want to table it?
I would make a motion to table this at this point in time and get some more information. I'm not interested in paying somebody at all, because we've got somebody who has donated, like Mary said, maybe thousands of hours. And that board has solidified that area of town. It stopped a deterioration that had been going on in that area for years. And now, if you had a piece of property purchased in 2010, I'm going to be willing to say that your investment is 2 to 3 times as
100%.
valuable now
Yeah.
because of what that board has done. And I'm just, I'm not in favor of paying
I
anybody.
second that motion, Andy.
Thank you.
Okay, right now we're voting on tabling it.
Yes.
Right, but
Okay.
before we vote, I just have one quick question. Did the Historic District Commission review this and approve it?
No, it was not reviewed by the HDC, no. Typically, when you're dealing with something that is a matter of essentially the founding ordinance of a body, That's typically not something that the body itself would review. So for instance, if made changes to the planning commission's ordinance, that isn't usually reviewed by the planning commission itself.
But none of them knew it was coming down until they got this letter. I mean, nothing was mentioned till the letter came out to them.
I'm fine to table it, but I do have one comment / question, but it's not a question we answered tonight. We've all heard anecdotally, and you hear it enough, it may become more than anecdotal, frustrations and delays and some of the processes that people have to go through when dealing with City Hall. All right. So I think it is wise to find ways to improve that, streamline it, get better. And so I don't know this to be true, but I would assume, based upon my own experience, and Mr. Hurd's given a lot of time and effort, and I'm not making this specific to that, but typically, if you're dealing with a volunteer, that work may or may not be the priority of that person. If you're dealing with a paid consultant or paid somebody making money for it, it becomes more of a priority. And if it's not, then you find somebody else you can pay to make it a priority. So if we're not able to get from the volunteer realm enough to streamline our processes, I understand maybe the need to go hire somebody to do it. So just a thought.
Fair enough.
Okay, I said I wasn't gonna say anything, but I got one thing to say. It's gonna be short. If we're gonna pay someone to do this, just being fair, if he's done this for so long for free, shouldn't he have an opportunity to get paid to do it? And we're table.
Perhaps.
I'm just saying.
But again, nothing specific to this. If
No, I'm
paying
just saying.
somebody, I expect more from somebody we're paying
I
for the
just
job.
think that would be
than
fair.
something free.
David, I think we need to start in-house with our procedures and figure out and streamline those
I
because
agree, but I think this is part
these
of it.
people have, just getting rid of the architect on the committee.
Well, I don't
just-
know. I mean, it's more than just that. There's
Yeah.
more to this.
I'm
than
saying,
just
I think
that.
there's a lot that we need to do to clean up
I
things.
fully agree, but if
you
it's
know.
more than one little piece, this might be one little piece. Again, if
And
a
has he
paid
been
person
told,
would make it
you know?
easier, then I'm
Yeah.
all for a paid person.
Yeah.
If not, then maybe not.
Yeah.
We're 12 years into this now. Another
No.
3 months,
Oh,
6 months, a year, 2 years is not going to make any difference.
And I know people get upset when their things aren't done in timely manner. I mean, people get mad all the time when, not as much anymore, but when certain people were here building structures, and if they didn't get their way about something, wow, it was like blast on Facebook, whatever, I mean, it's, sometimes people don't always get their way in the historic district about what they want to do,
Oh,
just
absolutely.
like everywhere else.
Absolutely.
And sometimes those people are very vocal about it. And I'm not saying this is the problem with this, but with social media, that can be the case in some instances. But I think at least you talk to that person with if there is any issues or whatever, and at least give them an opportunity to, because I think blindsided basically is what it was.
I talked to Steve too. I get that. I'm not saying anything about that.
Yeah.
I'm just saying if the delay is waiting on a volunteer, and I don't know that to be true, but if the delay is waiting on a volunteer to do the work, then let's pay somebody to do it and get it done more timely. So I'd like to hear more about that.
So, somebody make a motion to table this?
We
Andy
did,
and I
and
seconded
Say, I
it.
have a motion to table this. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, we'll table this one. All right. Thank you, Mr. Hawkins.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Next up, we have the Public Service Committee, and we have a consideration. Where is Tammy Keith? Oh, I see her right there. We're going to call this the Tammy Keith consideration.
Aye.
Thank you.
Anyway, this is to approve the spelling for the deed for Gatling Park. So, I think this property was deeded to the city by Conway Corporation a number of years back, and somehow, and Vivian, we'll call this the Vivian/Tammy ordinance here. And they stayed on it and brought it to our attention that the spelling has been wrong for a number of years. We're changing our street signage and everything else to reflect that. So, council, what I need tonight is for y'all to approve the deed correction for the property located at 2325 Tyler Street, formerly known as Gatlin Park. And if y'all vote yes, it'll be Gatling Park henceforward.
So moved. Second.
We have a motion and a second to change this deed. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? With that, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Oh, I would like